Hey everyone, welcome back to Tech Tuesday, and today we're going to talk about power steering pulleys, how to install them, and more importantly, how not to install them. Now, it might seem tempting to simply toss this pump right on your shop press, drop the pulley on top of the shaft and give it a push, but I advise you not to do that because you will very quickly turn your $750 steering pump into a $1,000 steering pump after you have to send it back to us to rebuild, because you're going to push the shaft through the rear cover of the pump. Now, first of all, let's understand that a steering pump consumes a fair amount of horsepower. The Pro Series TC pumps that we offer can consume anywhere from 5 to 10 horsepower on a regular basis. Under extreme conditions, might even consume more than that. And all of that power is coming from the belt on the front of the engine, and it has to get transferred through this pulley, which is press fit with an interference fit onto the pump shaft. Now, on our TC pumps and most of the other Type 2 pumps that are in the industry, we've got a shaft diameter here of 0.664 inches. And when it comes to pulleys, with aluminum pulleys, these are typically going to be about a 2 to 3 thousandth interference fit. So that means that the inside bore here of this pulley is about 0.661 to 0.662 inches. So it's a little bit smaller. With steel pulleys, they'll typically be about a 1,000th interference fit. So the diameter on a steel pulley would be 0.663, and it's really that interference that's going to allow the power to be transmitted from the belt to the pump shaft and ultimately to the rotating bits that are inside of the pump. If we actually take a look at what's inside the pump, this is a TC cartridge right here. So this section here is the bit that's doing the actual pumping. That's the rear cover of the pump there. This is the front port plate. And then in the center section is our cam ring, and inside of that cam ring is the rotor and the sliding vanes that are doing the actual pumping. This is the pump shaft. So we can see that it has a ball bearing that's press fit on the shaft. This end here is where your pulley gets pressed on. And then on the back, there's some splines that engage with the rotor, and the very tail end is supported by a needle bearing right in the rear cover here. The press fit ball bearing has less of a press fit than what's required to press that pulley onto this shaft. So if you simply drop this pump onto a press and you try to press your pulley on, what's going to happen is you're going to push this shaft through the bearing and through the rear cover of the pump before you actually press the pulley onto the shaft. So what's the proper way to install a pulley? Well, this is where a specialized tool comes in handy. So if you go down to your local AutoZone or O'Reilly's or whatever your local parts store is that does a loaner tool program, you can rent one of these. This is a steering pulley installation tool kit. If you wanted to buy your own, they're about $30 or $40 on Amazon to get the whole kit. And essentially what we have is a threaded stud that threads into the front of the pump shaft. There's a thrust bearing and then a large nut. So all we're going to do is take this assembly here, take the pump, slide your pulley on top, and then you put your threaded stud into the shaft. Now that the stud is threaded into the pump shaft, when you go ahead and tighten up this nut, you're actually pressing the pulley onto the shaft without transferring any load into the rest of the pump. So there you have it. That's how you install a pulley onto a power steering pump using a special power steering pulley install tool. That way you don't have to send your pump back to us to get rebuilt. So thanks for watching. See you again soon.